Good day, fellow Jersey Nerds, and welcome to episode 77 of the Jersey Nerds podcast, powered by HockeyJerseyConcepts.com. Today on the Nerdcast, we're going to be talking with the lead designer from Athletic Knit, Jeff Tasca, about the recently announced ECHL Athletic Knit jersey deal. Athletic Knit is now the official on-ice supplier of jerseys and socks for the ECHL, as well as replica jerseys. So we'll get into that with Jeff. And joining me on the Nerdcast to talk about this and ask a few questions is Bpoe. What's going on, Bpoe?
Just recording a podcast, Ryan. How about you?
Beautiful. Loving it. Yeah, getting ready to interview Jeff about these ECHL jerseys. When you heard the announcement, what was your initial thought there? And just what are you kind of expecting here?
I was quite excited about it, especially for one, since, you work there. So that was obviously good to hear. Good to hear for your company. But considering what Athletic Knit has put out before, and I'm very excited to see what they put out. And I'm a big fan of Jeff's work. I follow him on Instagram. We're taking place in a little uniform design tournament together. And been a big fan of the work, so definitely looking forward to see what they put out.
Yeah, the Uniform Madness tournament putting on by Dylan Nowak is pretty interesting to see what's going on there. Are you excited for your chances?
I hope so, yeah. But a lot of the designs, he hasn't released all of the designs to the public. Currently, we're in the second stage of voting, but Dylan allowed all of us designers, to see every single design. And from what's there's a lot of good entries. So I don't know where exactly my chances are. We had a lot of good entries. And I like to think my concept is okay, but we'll let the voters decide that.
So thoughts on, he decided that they're using just a standard template for all entries. Thoughts on how that went versus just letting people use whatever they would like?
It definitely adds a bit of anonymity to it. Like, there's some of them that I'm very familiar with, some of these people's design styles, because there's people in tournaments such as Jake88 or Avi, I believe, is in, Dylan Alexander. And some of them, I'm not even sure who did what, but some of them I'm looking at them, I'm like, this looks like it might have been them. But even then, I'm still not sure. And that's what I like about it. I'm looking at the design rather than the artist. And that was partly on my recommendation, I think. I don't know if Dylan made the decision beforehand, before I mentioned it to him, to use the standardized template, but that's something I did mention to him, that, maybe we should do that, so that way it is completely anonymous and nobody does have that upper hand just by using a sports template or something like that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how things work out there. Definitely a cool concept for a tournament, and it'll be interesting to see who comes alive there. Now, as far as the NHL playoffs, the Penguins got swept out. How are you handling that?
I honestly stopped caring as soon as the Islanders took the lead in Game 4. I knew where it was going. I knew the Pens were about to lose. It just wasn't their year. I'm sure I'd be a lot more upset about it if they hadn't gone back-to-back in 16 and 17. That definitely takes a little bit of the pain away. Yeah. But as always, it still sucks whenever your team loses, regardless of how much recent success they've had. So, as I mentioned last week, I'm bandwagoning Vegas, Toronto, and Carolina, and right now I'm wearing my Vegas jersey and Toronto hat in order to cheer them on for tomorrow's games.
So you're ready to go then?
Yep.
Will you follow the rest of the playoffs, or?
I'll follow it. Depending on how much time I have. I'm not sure how many of the games I'll watch in full, but I've been always following the scores of the games, or if I'm just working on something in my room and I know a game's on, I'll throw it on in the background. Like, I have the Dallas and Nashville game on right now in the background. So
perfect. That's what playoff hockey is all about. Whenever the playoffs come on, I always give my wife more than enough warning, just letting her know, listen, I think they started like April 12th this year. I was like, listen, April 12th for like 2 months, I'm out of commission. Just don't count on me. The playoffs are on. But, the days leading up to the playoffs, it's like, just sit down and watch whatever she wants to watch, because I'm going MIA for the 2 months after that. So what'd you get up to over the week? Anything interesting that people would want to hear about?
Not really. uh, something a bit sad happened, but I don't think people will want to hear about that, so I'm not going to mention it.
Well, you've opened the door now, Bpoe.
Okay, well, if you feel that this isn't good to keep in the podcast, then feel free to cut it out. But one of my dogs passed away on Wednesday.
Oh,
Well,
that's tough.
Thursday morning, technically. It was like 1 a.m. Thursday morning. But none of us had really gone to sleep yet. So it's kind of Wednesday night, Thursday morning, right in that area.
Right.
So it was rough.
So how old was your dog?
We're not sure exactly, but he was definitely old enough because he died basically from old age, is what we're thinking. I mean, he started getting arthritis near the end of his life. It was harder for him to walk. And there was a bit of a scare a couple weeks ago. We thought it might have been that night, but he held on for a couple more weeks. And I got home from class that day, and my mom was just like, he's not doing very good. And we kind of thought it might have been that night. And then right as I was about to go to bed, he says that he passed away. So, yep.
Well,
we kind of knew it was coming, but
yeah,
it doesn't make it much easier.
No, that's a tough deal. Yeah, I've had a few dogs that we've lost. I think everyone can kind of associate with that. You know, a lot of people have lost their dogs, so that one's a tough blow. But hopefully, better weeks to come there, Bpoe. I don't have a story to really match that, but I do have a tournament coming up for my beer league team, and we're going to Niagara Falls, and it's completely about a boys' weekend. Just to lots of beer. It's not even really about the tournament. It's just about going to Niagara Falls, being stupid. And I've heard things about this tournament that it's like, 4 teams are in your division. Everyone plays everyone, and then the top 2 teams play for the championship. But everyone is so worn out by Sunday when the championship is supposed to be that nobody wants to play in it. Everyone just wants to kind of get through the 3 round robin games. So I've heard past tournaments, there was 2 teams, and if one of them won, they would move on to the championship game. And neither wanted to move on to the championship game. So Team A pulls their goalie. They're up like 3 goals. And they pull their goalie with like 6 minutes to go. But Team B also does not want to play in the championship game, so they will not shoot on the empty net for the free goals. And apparently, that's just the type of tournament it is. So, I'm really looking forward to it. That's in Niagara Falls in a couple weeks. Got the schedule today, and there's the 4 teams in our pool. We're all within, let's say, 40 miles of each other. And we're traveling an hour and a half, 2-hour car ride to Niagara Falls to all play each other. So it's totally logical, totally makes sense. Definitely won't be a gong show. I'm really looking forward to it. Should be good.
What do you think your chances are? Not that you care about winning, as you've just explained in your own experience and what you've heard from other people, that they literally went out of their way to not win. But what do you think your chances are?
I don't think our team even really cares about our chances. I have no clue about these other teams. We've never even seen them before. We're more just concerned. Hopefully, no one else wears blue because we wear blue, and then we'll have to like wear the loner pennies or something, and that's always gross. You never want to do that.
And just keep everybody in blue. It's like on some of the NHL video games a couple times just to have some fun. I'd play against my brother or something like that. We both wear the exact same jerseys, exact same team.
That's a great way to piss off people online too. If they like jump right into it and they're like, "Yeah, Leafs home jersey," and you're like, "Okay, fine."
Like at least I don't know about any of the older games, but at least anymore they don't let you do that.
Oh, really?
Your home team, you got to pick a dark jersey. Road team, got to pick a light jersey.
Oh, okay. They might have changed that.
Because that also takes away the option of like color on color, red versus blue.
Right.
But I do understand why they do it. I don't know. I don't know too much about programming or anything like that, so I don't know how difficult this would be. But I think it would be really cool if they added in the option if you're playing like Detroit versus Tampa, you can do red versus blue, or Detroit, Toronto, so on and so forth. Red versus blue,
Yeah.
Instead of having to do white versus blue or white versus red.
That really shouldn't be too hard, because you could just, from a programmer standpoint, you could just classify each jersey as you know, this is a red jersey and this is a blue jersey and this is a purple jersey. And then you just program it to say, don't let the two colors equal each other. That's a really simple thing to do. That shouldn't be a problem at all. From my basic ninth grade computer programming class, I am aware that you can do that with ease. So that shouldn't be a problem.
Added another wrinkle, you'd have some jerseys like maybe navy blue and purple that might not contrast or go well together either. But I'm sure it wouldn't be too difficult then, based on what you just said, to add a classification in there. Don't let blue and purple go together.
Yeah,
right?
or you just include the purple ones in the blue category or whatever. It's not a tough deal. So
yeah, unfortunately, that's only online. If I'm playing offline against my brother or something like that, I mean, I guess you'd have to figure that if you can wear the same exact jersey. I guess you could figure that they'd allow you to wear jerseys that don't contrast well. But online, that's when they tell you, nope, can't do that.
The first ever time I played online, I wasn't familiar with anything, and I didn't realize I think you can put the old Xbox 360 microphone on mute. I haven't played online in ages. So this might be like NHL 08, and I can hear everyone else. No, I couldn't hear everyone else, so I assumed they couldn't hear me, but it was just because I had the volume turned down or something like that. So they could hear me. So I was swearing up a storm. We were playing a team game, and I was swearing up a storm like, this guy fucking sucks. Oh, here goes this guy again. This guy's shit. And I'm talking about the guys on my team. And sure enough, I get kicked out of the game, and I guess I got like a poor rating or something. This is my first ever time playing online. It kind of turned me off from playing online, I guess. But whatever. That's how it goes. You got to be heads up. Heads up online, guys. Heads up online.
That's pretty great. I've never been too huge on online gaming either. I'm not sure why. If it's something like Call of Duty, which I don't play much of that, but whenever I do, I'd usually like to stick to the campaign or something like that. Whenever I was younger, I'd play online death matches and stuff like that. But anytime recently, if I'd ever play one of them, it would always just be campaign or NHL 18. Whenever the NHL 3s was a new thing, I just played that campaign through. The only online that I've really done recently, I think, with NHL was ones, and that's because you couldn't play against computer. So I was like, that looks fun enough to actually play online.
Yeah, I haven't played on years.
What everybody thinks about me, anyways. They have no idea who I am, right? So whatever.
All right, so let's get to the guts of the podcast. We will pick up an interview that we did with Jeff Tasca, lead designer at Athletic Knit, and we're talking to him about the new deal. Athletic Knit will be the announced jersey supplier for the ECHL. So here's Jeff. Hey everybody, welcome to the Jersey Nerds podcast. I'm Ryan, and we're here with Bpoe and Jeff from Athletic Knit. He's the lead designer there. And the big news of the past week is that the ECHL will now be using Athletic Knit to supply their home, road, and specialty uniforms. Athletic Knit has gotten the uniform contract for the ECHL, so who better have on to talk about it than the lead designer at Athletic Knit, Jeff. Jeff, how's it going?
Not bad. How you doing?
Pretty good. This has got to be pretty exciting news to get the semi-pro league ECHL and start working on the jerseys.
Oh, it was when I found out about it, I was just like, oh, okay, excellent.
Yeah, I can only imagine. I mean, I guess full disclosure, I work at Athletic Knit too, so I would been privy to some of this, but Jeff knows a lot more than I do. But I guess word came down in the summer that that Athletic Knit got the contract for, I believe it's a 3-year deal, I believe. But yes. Yep. So that must have been pretty exciting. So pretty much, once you know that we have the contract, how does the process start? Are teams contacting Athletic Knit, or does Athletic Knit reach out to the teams?
Essentially, from what I knew about it was all the sales guys. So essentially, we had to reach out to the team. And I know initially what it was is finding out kind of what they wanted, say, okay, are you guys going to stay with what you got right now in terms of, jersey design? Are you going to get something different? Even to the fact of, can you send us what you have right now just so we can kind of get an idea of, what you're wearing and take a look into, for next season in terms of like the design, the fit, all that kind of thing. So we kind of just started, reaching out to them.
Yeah, I think one of the coolest things about coming to work each day was seeing the packages of game used jerseys arrive from all the ECHL teams, so they could be studied and analyzed and see what was already going on. So, as we speak right now, how far along are you in the process as far as finalizing what ECHL teams are going to be wearing next year?
Actually, as of right now, we're pretty much finished. And prototypes are pretty much done or being kind of finished off. So it was, in terms of the design process, all the teams have kind of okayed what they're going to wear. We've done it up, finalized it with them. I think with the exception of one or two that have decided at the last minute to kind of like add in an alternate uniform, everything is essentially done and decided.
Of course, there's always the last minute.
Exactly.
Last minute stragglers.
Exactly.
So what percentage, based on that, what percentage of teams knew what they wanted, or maybe knew that they were going to stick with their same uniforms, and maybe how many knew that they wanted to go in a different direction?
Let me see here. I think maybe about half of them stayed with what they had, or what it is they stayed with their home and aways and added like a new alternate. So about half of the teams either decided stuff that we came up with, or, kind of started giving us some guidance saying, hey, we want to change things. But I'd say about half the league is probably like stayed about the same.
When it comes to the ideas that, whenever you have the teams redesigning their jerseys, how many of the ideas come from the teams and you just put them into action? And how many of the ideas are pitched from you guys and the teams okay them? Is it like a even split, or how does that work?
I think from what I can recall there, just because it was a big freaking flurry of designing and stuff in that period of time. But essentially what it was, there was a good number of teams, maybe a little less than half, kind of had an idea, saying, okay, this is what we're thinking. They either had one of their guys or somebody from the team like send us a design saying, hey, this is what we kind of want, this is what we're looking at. Or they might have just said, hey, we really like, this team's uniform, could we do something similar to that? Or so we had everything from literally like specific stuff where the team's like, yeah, we're redesigning our jersey and this is what we want right here, to like, yeah, we're thinking of it. We kind of like this jersey, or this, NHL team's jersey, whatever. But, whatever you guys can come up with, throw it at us kind of thing.
So as far as, sorry, go ahead, Bpoe.
If you're able to answer this, Jeff, how many of those, or not necessarily how many, but would you consider them to be upgrades in a general sense?
I'd say there's a few in there that are upgrades. Yeah. There was a few that I kind of right off the bat was like, I hope they do something, because kind of what they currently wear, I'm not too fond of it, or I think, they could do a lot better. So, having the opportunity, I'm just like, oh, I hope some of these guys, are going to consider doing some new stuff. So there were a few teams in there where they did come and say, hey, we are interested in changing up our stuff. So I was like, all right.
So as far as
which teams do you think are a downgrade? I'm kidding. I'm not going to ask you to answer that. I do have one more though.
No problem.
I'm not sure if you're going to be able to answer this either, but as I'm sure you know, Jeff, I'm not sure if Ryan does. Both of us are taking place in the Uniform Madness thing. And in our group chat, not too long ago, you sent us, you're also pretty active on Instagram. I follow you there. You told us that you were planning on starting an ECHL series there, but right around the time that the contract negotiations was starting, your boss came up to you and said, hey, don't post this, so maybe we can use these ideas. Did any of those ideas end up getting used?
Yeah, actually, a couple of them did. So I was quite surprised with that. So I was like, oh, great. And for us, it was kind of good because, time-wise, a little bit of a time crunch, or the fact of, because there's a lot of back and forth when you're presenting a team with a new design, kind of getting it to them as fast as you can is always good too, because then they have, time to look at it and, bounce it back and forth and either say, yeah, can we change this, adjust that? So it was good kind of having some of those ones already done where it was kind of like, hey, okay, this team's looking for new stuff. Boom, here you go. And then, when they actually came back and were like, yeah, we'll go with that. I'm just like, oh, excellent. It was just, to me, it was like, this is awesome, because it was just kind of like, some ideas I had. So the fact that, some of the teams actually took it and ran with it, I was just like more than, elated over. I was just like, yeah, like it was just so really, really cool to kind of present something to a team and have the team actually, like the idea.
That's going to be so cool, because I mean, I think everyone's pretty much aware that you've done so many sublimated theme night designs for a lot of the ECHL teams. So is there any particular, like these ones that you maybe have done previously, just as a personal concept, is it a little more interesting or gratifying to see them on the ice versus some of the specialty ones that have been done in the past?
Oh yeah. Like to me, and, the specialty ones are great. And I mean, the funny thing is I've never, up until recently, seen any of the jerseys I've ever done on the ice. It just so happened, I never got to a game. I never got to see anything. So it was always like, I would always just see pictures after. And then, it was just one of those things where, okay, the sublimated ones, the theme night ones, there's a lot that I thought, these came out great. But it was just always something about if you did like the team's home or away jersey, it was just like, this is what they wear. This is part of the team's identity. So being able to kind of have a part in that those ones were just like, oh, wow. Like, and, being able to see it, like, pretty much one I did a little while back was the Brampton Beasts home and aways. And I literally just saw my first Brampton Beast game like last week. So I finally saw those jerseys in action. So it was really cool, like to see that finally, like just to see something that kind of, you took from concept to kind of completion, even though those ones they were wearing were not made by AK. Initially they were, but CCM was making these ones. But just to see them where you were just like, wow, like, I put that together and to see them actually wearing it was really, really awesome.
Yeah, I don't know if you can answer this one. Were there any teams, without naming names, where it was a little disappointing, perhaps, that they're sticking with one or two of the designs that they already have?
Yeah, there's a couple. There's some that I'm hoping maybe next year we can push like even an alternate to them or something, because there's some teams that maybe stuck with the same thing and didn't do an alternate yet. So you're kind of like, okay, well, if you're gonna stick with the idea of these jerseys, it'd be kind of cool if we can get you, push an alternate out to you. So there's still a few teams that I'm kind of like a little disappointed they didn't go with anything new. But then a couple teams where even what they did go with, I'm just like, oh wow, that's awesome. There was actually one team where I had an idea and it literally ended up the team was almost on like the identical wavelength with me. Like it ended up kind of, I didn't even do the concept and give it to them, because it was like, as I heard from the team, from the sales guys, it was literally like they're describing the exact same thing. So I'm just like, oh, okay, yeah, I can definitely work with that. So I wouldn't take credit for that idea. I'd just say that me and the team were on the same wavelength. So that's one I'm definitely looking forward to. But yeah, there's a few teams I want to see if we can push next year, some, alternates or even kind of push them to be like, hey, would you mind, refreshing your jerseys? We
Right.
have some ideas. So.
Right. Just thinking about that, and obviously a lot of these teams do employ their own graphic designers. Was there any communication directly with any of those designers, or did it all go through the sales reps and filter through them and then come to you?
Pretty much all of them went through the sales reps. There might have been one, and actually two teams, but the kind of discussion between me and the graphic design guys was actually more so through Instagram or Twitter or something, because like I already followed them, already kind of talked with them. So as soon as they kind of found that out, it was like, some chatting back and forth saying, hey, do you need this? Do you want that? I'll send you these files. We already got our stuff figured out, or, that kind of thing. So it was kind of cool that way, but it was very limited. But there was a little bit where I got to talk to the team's designers.
So just based on the process, I mean, a lot of amateur concept artists will focus on the home and road sweater first. And from that, an alternate may be bred out of that, or just you go a completely different way because that's the idea. Do you have a set process like that, or was it just dealing with the whole set, whether that's 2 jerseys or 3 jerseys or 4 jerseys? How'd you go about creating each team here?
Well, technically, when I would start, I would always kind of start with the home and away, and then kind of get that idea going. Start with those ideas, and once we kind of had a firm idea of where those were going to look, then I would start with the alternate, because I figured if I started with a whole bunch of different looks, and we didn't have one decided yet, it's kind of hard to, okay, let me go in this direction for the alternate or this direction for the home and away. So what I would do is just any ideas I had, we'd start with the home and away, say, okay, let's get this established. What do you want? Here's a couple of ideas. And then once we kind of had that ball rolling, and it didn't take too long. Like, most of the teams were actually really, really good in terms of, giving you feedback, and then you just have a few revisions and go forward. So once we kind of had that going, it would be like, okay, yeah, here's an idea, for an alternate that we got. And then we would kind of start the process there. So I'd usually start with the, home and away, and then go over to the alternate. The only time I would, concentrate on the alternate was just, say, if a team already had their home and away figured out, but didn't have an alternate, or were carrying over their home and away and didn't have an alternate, but wanted to add one. It would be kind of like, oh, okay, here's your alternate, kind of right off the bat. And I'd always kind of want to make it look a little different than the home and away, take a little bit of a different, approach. And there were some that even, I tried to stay within the team's colors, and there were some that were even like, oh, well, we're looking at this color for a third, and it's like, oh, okay, that's kind of outside your general color scheme, but yeah, we can make it work. And I'd have to tweak a little things like that, but overall it ended up working. But
so speaking of the alternate jerseys, and we've talked about the specialty jerseys, and in the past they've been a fully sublimated jersey, and that's based on quick turnaround time, costs, the ability to change what you need and pretty much do anything. There was a little bit of concern on the internet that athletic knit is going to make the entire league sublimated. Is that true? Is the entire league going to be sublimated?
Oh no, the league's not going to be sublimated, not at all. Unless that's unless the team comes to us and say, hey, we want a completely sublimated jersey, the whole league is not going to be sublimated. It's all going to be essentially embroidered, cut and sewn, pro cut, all that kind of thing, like, fight straps, twill numbers, everything. So it's going to look like, a pro hockey jersey.
Yeah. And just from my personal perspective from working at Athletic Knit, I did see a couple other concerns online that people think these are going to be beer league quality jerseys, and they definitely are not. I think Athletic Knit hasn't had the chance to showcase what they can do fully on a pro level. Mm-hmm. And I would say once these come out and people can start getting their hands on them, they are going to see a difference. And I especially think they're going to see a difference in the replica jerseys that are available for the public to purchase. Those are going to be, I believe, a step up from what was previously available.
And now that I think about it, now that it comes up, my youth team, their jerseys were made by Athletic Knit, and just thinking about that, those things are some pretty nice quality, and it's for a youth hockey team. So,
oh yeah, I mean, the company's been around since 1962, so they definitely know what they're doing. Yep. And again, it's like anything else. You have a product line where you range from your high end to your low end. We have our, all the pro ones, like the, NHL styles, right down to like, more cost effective, ones for, beer league or minor leagues or whatever. So you're going to have that range. And if somebody says, oh, well, I wore one of their like, cheapest practice jerseys. Well, there's a big difference between that one and,
Absolutely.
getting a pro cut jersey. So it's kind of like, you can't really compare it because it's, apples and oranges kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I think people are really going to be impressed, and that's obviously a biased opinion here, but I think people will really be impressed with the replicas. And if anybody gets their hands on a game used jersey, I think they're really gonna really going to. I think I've seen some samples, just generic samples, perhaps sitting in the back production area. So it's really going to be a cool looking jersey. As far as the AK branding, I know CCM, obviously everybody loves to throw their logo on the jersey. You have to. That's why you do this. Athletic Knit branding, is it going to appear on the jerseys?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's definitely, we had to actually adjust it a little bit, but for visibility and everything like that, and actually pretty much the location too is league mandated. So once it was kind of agreed to, it was like, yeah, you have to put your logo at certain spots. So once we kind of agreed to that, it's like, okay, great. This is, it's good for visibility. It's good for, being able to, put the brand out there and get at least people to recognize it. But it was, kind of cool because when we did first start the design process, it was like, oh, should we put it here? Should we put it there? And it was like, oh, well, the league actually says it goes here and here.
Perfect. I had no clue that the league mandated that, so that's pretty interesting to know. I think one of the coolest things about this jersey deal is, I mean, we've all seen other companies. Adidas, with the big release was the dimpled shoulders and the new collar style, and Reebok 10 years ago was the new collar style when they came out. So the kind of the neat thing here about Athletic Knit and these jerseys is we're going to be able to take all those great things that came out within the last decade as far as new jersey releases and incorporate them into these designs. Like, no one is restricted to using a certain type of collar, and no one is restricted to using a certain type of shoulder. I don't know if that comes out as it should, but anyways, there's a lot of, I feel like there might have been a little bit more options available for the teams in their designs.
Oh yeah, like that's the thing. Like, with this process, like to my knowledge, what I know about it, I mean, it's a bidding process. So, it's like if you have nothing to offer, you're probably not going to be the company that gets picked for it. And, just with dealing with a lot of the teams and how we were with sublimation and stuff, we were very much, a company where we were like, hey, what do you want? We'll work with you. We weren't like, oh, you want to do, a pink in the rink night? Well, here's 3 designs. Pick one. That's all you get. We were more like, okay, what do you want? We'll come up with something unique for you. Hey, let's do that. So that, I think, was also the draw to us, where with these teams, it's kind of like, whatever you want, we can do. It's not going to be like, oh, here's, 8 CCM or 8, Reebok templates, and you have to pick one of these and put your colors in it or something. It was more or less like, whatever you guys want, we'll work with you. And if it's feasible to put it together, we'll do it.
Absolutely. I just want to ask about a couple specifics. Don't know if you can answer these, but will the new style collar that we've seen most recently on Adidas jerseys be making appearances this year? And will the classic style collar and the kind of tapered neck Reebok style collar, will all those collars be making an appearance in the upcoming season?
Oh yeah, there'll definitely be a mix of all those ones there. So we didn't go strictly one way or the other.
Right.
So there is a mix in there of it. So.
And how about a curved hem?
I believe, yeah. As far as I know, all the jerseys actually have that. All the jerseys are actually going to be cut wise. They're actually going to be different than anything we've done before.
Do you mean a Reebok wise or Adidas wise with the curved hem? Because the Reebok curved hem still had straight hem stripes, and the Adidas one obviously has the hem stripe curving with the hem.
Well, we definitely have the curve, because I do know of some with the striping where, if it's lower on the body, where we had to do, some curved striping to match the hem and stuff. So we are definitely going, with the curved bottoms on them.
Okay, very cool, very cool. So, trying to push a little bit more here. Which teams are you most looking forward to being released?
Oh, geez. Well, so I don't know how much I could say about that.
Yeah.
Just because it might give away that the teams are doing something different.
Absolutely.
But I can definitely say there's a few that I'm looking forward to. I guess for now, that's all I probably could say.
I would say that I've seen a few of them, but I would say there's at least half a dozen that are extremely exciting. So it's going to be a really, really interesting summer as far as ECHL athletic knit jersey releases. So that's got to be pretty exciting.
Oh no, I'm definitely looking forward to it. And I mean, I think the thing too with what the teams are doing, and with what some of the teams are releasing and this and that, it's looking pretty good. Even when you have in the office, like I know myself, and even with some of the people in the sales, where they're literally like, I want to buy some of their jerseys. I want to buy some of these teams' jerseys. So we know like some of these teams that we already have in the works. It's like you have like 5 or 10 people in the office who are already like, I want to buy one of these.
Yeah. Interest is definitely building around the office. We put out a request for questions on Twitter, and we got one back from Alan at AJHFTW on Twitter. Which ECHL team do you think would be the most difficult to redesign their jerseys? Or maybe which team was the most difficult?
Let's see. Well, there's so many. There's a couple of really good ones out there, and I think overall probably one of the hardest ones, because I know they do such a good job at it, is Toledo. I think the Toledo Walleye, when it comes to like just their jerseys and their logo and their kind of the branding and the way that the team looks, if we were to change anything, that would probably be one of the hardest ones to do, just because they do have a very unique look right now, and overall it looks great, and just to kind of they just have it just looks very good right now. So it's just to kind of be like, okay, how do you top that? How do you
yeah, I
totally improve upon that?
Totally agree with that, because that's one of the strongest logos in the entire league. So that's an excellent point of how would you, it's nearly impossible to do better.
Oh yeah, because it's just they're definitely one of the teams that have it all together, so to speak, like that look really, really good.
Yeah, agreed. Oh, one other thing is it was included in the announcement that the All-Star Game jerseys, the ECHL All-Star Game jerseys, are going to be done by Athletic Knit as well. Anything started on that, or is that kind of waiting on the back burner right now?
That is a bit on the back burner. Haven't heard anything yet, because I'm actually not 100% sure how that's going to work. If it's something where we find out who the host, which the host team is, and work with them. So I'm not too sure if we kind of have to wait a bit and then, find that out. I'm quite sure after the season's over, like completely over, I'm quite sure we're probably going to get it, probably a little bit more push with that. I'm not 100% sure, like even how many they're doing. I think the one, what was it, this past year was the Toledo Walleye hosted it, and I think they had like 4 or 5 different jerseys.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's a route they'll go again, or they're only going to have 2. So as far as the All-Star, I have no idea in terms of that, but I'm excited to check it out, because I definitely wouldn't mind, trying out some ideas for that.
Right. Is that kind of situation exciting for you, daunting, considering the short time frame, or how do you view that situation?
Yeah, it's exciting and daunting at the same time, where you're just kind of like, wow, I really want to do this, and then it's like, wow, I want to make sure these look good, and don't want to, kind of like, I guess you wouldn't necessarily say screw them up, because if they don't look good, they're not going to approve them. But it's just one of those things where you want it to look good, you want the teams to be happy, you want the league to be happy with it. So there's always that, wanting to, make sure, the end client is happy, but also too, like, be happy with the work you're doing. So I'm just like, a little bit of both.
So Jeff, one last question, I think. If you have any idea, when we're going to start seeing some of these new jerseys? Are they going to be being released individually by the teams, or is it going to be one larger release, or how's that going to work? And do you know when it's going to happen?
As far as I know, we're actually reaching out to the league to find out, because we're not 100% sure if it's one of those things where, the league will leave it up to us to, where we can release them all on a certain date, or if it, is going to go by the individual team's release schedules. So we're going to find that out. I do know who it was only one team so far has kind of even shown what they're going to do, which was was it Greenville Swamp Rabbits?
Yeah.
They kind of showed what their jerseys are going to look like next year, but to my knowledge, that's the only team that's even put anything out there.
Yeah, absolutely. I saw the same thing. So I remember that coming out and thinking, oh, that deal hasn't been announced yet. That's kind of odd, but that's
Oh, I know,
cool.
they were a little early.
they're excited. They're really excited for their jerseys next season. So I'm excited. I think all the jersey nerds are pretty excited. You got to be pretty excited too, Jeff. This is going to be a pretty crazy summer and a pretty crazy 3 years going forward as far as your design career is concerned.
Oh yeah, I know. It's going to be crazy. I'm definitely looking forward to it, and I know even going into this next year that I'm going to have to clear a lot of space on my walls to hang up some of these jerseys because there's quite a few that I want to I want to buy just to kind of, especially the ones that I've worked on. I'm just like, I have to own all these ones. So there's a whole bunch that I kind of have to, just for me, I'm like, I got to buy these, hang them up. So hopefully the wife won't mind.
Yeah, I'm totally on board with that too. Your work is definitely going to have to be in my closet too. Well, Jeff, this was great stuff. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it as always. And I think we're all really looking forward to what's coming out this year.
Oh, well, thank you very much. And, always a pleasure coming on. And as soon as I find anything out about a release schedule, I can definitely let you know.
That'd be perfect. Thanks a lot, Jeff.
No problem.
All right. Again, we'd like to thank Jeff for taking the time to sit down and chat with us. Really interesting stuff and really interested to see what comes out of the Athletic ECHL deal. I've seen, as I mentioned, I've seen a few of the mock-ups. Really excited for them to come out and also excited to get a few of them into my collection. That'll be cool. That is what we have for you this week. So on hockeyjerseyconcepts.com right now, we have the Carolina Hurricanes redesign and entries are due May 3rd. We also have the St. Louis Blues redesign top 3 vote, and that vote ends April 26th. You can get all of that on hockeyjerseyconcepts.com right now. To stay up to date with the Jersey Nerds podcast, be sure to subscribe to the HJC Podcast Network. You'll get notifications when new shows are posted. Thanks to Bpoe for joining me, and thank you to all the Jersey Nerds for listening. Goodbye, everybody.